Scott, will this be enough to pull us back in? First of all, you probably have to finish the game. That would include myself as well, actually. After 80 hours of Starfield, its first expansion, Shattered Space, will be out this fall. So, I think, dude, I might have to jump back in. 80 hours, didn't wrap it up, but I gotta wrap up the story. I'm gonna jump back in. Are you gonna jump back in?
I've somehow been avoiding it this entire time, so I think I'm going to have to. If this is a good enough excuse to get me into the game, sure.
Yeah. Well, and they've had patches and more patches, and I wonder if this is going to just set the solar system aright. We'll talk about it. Andy Chalk over at PC Gamer. We've been waiting for word on when Shattered Space, the first Starfield expansion, will arrive, and now we have it, or at least a somewhat narrower release window. During an interview with Kind of Funny Games, Todd Howard revealed that the big add-on is expected to be out this fall. Howard mentioned the detail in a conversation about a different Starfield update that's coming sooner. He said that Bethesda wants to serve players who love shipbuilding and that there's some great stuff coming in that department in an update that he expects will be announced sometime this week. When asked whether that was connected to the Shattered Space expansion, Howard replied, quote, "This is a separate update. Shattered Space is in the fall." End quote. Even though it's far...
Let that slip.
Yeah, I don't know if he let it slip or that was expected, right? I think that might have been planned. Let's tease. Because you know what we're going to see? We're going to see more Shattered Space at the Xbox event at Summer Game Fest. Calling it right now. Right? Even though it's far from precise, it's an unexpected, off-the-cuff reveal of what has the potential to be a big moment for Starfield. Bethesda has been dutifully fixing bugs and making various gameplay tweaks, but calls for meaningful new content have gone unanswered. In December 2023, Bethesda said Shattered Space will include, quote, "new story content, new locations, new gear, and much more," end quote. But this is really the first we've heard about it since. Howard also touched on the long-awaited Starfield Creation Kit in the interview, which will enable more robust modding support in Starfield that has been available so far. It turns out that some Starfield content creators already have access to it, and the rest of us should be hearing more about it soon. End quote. Quote, "I don't have a date to announce on when its full release is coming," end quote. Howard said, quote, really important to us. Our modders out there have been incredible, and a lot of those, I think, before the Creation Club, and now our new creators program. I think one of the great things is we get to see them kind of go pro and move from hobby to professional. We've hired some of them into the studio, but more so the ones who are out there just like, hey, I can make a living now making stuff that's really good content. I think those people deserve the attention and the praise for what they do in our games. End quote. Scott, that's cool. Dude, that is a sick move to go, hey, I just love this game. I'm going to keep plugging away at it, making some cool stuff. And all of a sudden, you're cashing in on it.
Oh, man, how much fun could that be? And just, if you have a good idea, you can actually put that to the game and see how it works out. This is a really interesting time for games that modding is even being supported officially in an official capacity.
Yeah, no, it's super cool.
Talking about the new updates for Fallout and some of how they broke the mods on that, and it's caused everybody to be so angry. It seems like such an alien situation to me growing up before mods were okay, before they were official. But this is at least a nod to, hey, these people deserve some attention and praise. They're not trying to just rob this kind of work for themselves.
No, for sure. I like that the people are going to get rewarded, right? It also reminds me of with Epic Games and the Fortnite creator side of things, right? And their whole engine over there with the, what is it, UENFN, so their Unreal Fortnite engine and how they can get into that program and stuff like that. And then here we are with Bethesda doing their own thing. Hey, if you're a big fan of Bethesda and you love their games, you can get into the creator program and start making actual money on some of the cool stuff that you make, right? Instead of just sitting back and spending all these hours making cool stuff, which a lot of us do. Now you can actually get paid to make cool stuff, which is like a dream job, right? Like it's awesome. Now, let's get back to Shattered Space. Scott, what is this? Do we know anything about what this DLC is? What we expect it to be? How big do you think this will be for Starfield? And does Starfield get that surge of players once more?
Well, firstly, I think it has to be a certain length. It had to be meaningful. So if this is going to add a bunch of story DLC and stuff, are we thinking an entire thread of quests that could be potentially several hours?
Sure.
I'm not sure how big you really pack into this because it's Starfield and it's in such a big universe. You could populate it. It could be really big. It could be really spaced out, and that would kind of confuse my calculation here. But if it is, if it adds enough of, I think, a change to the star system, if there's enough locations put down,
Yeah.
it'll pull enough people in because they'll see that the water cooler kind of moment. Hey, I found this over here. Hey, I found this over here, and that's something that was supposed to happen with the base game of Starfield, and it did to some extent.
Sure.
So I think this could be a social. I think if it does catch on, it'll be a social thing. People showing off. Hey, I came back to this game, and this is my ship full of potatoes. Now is my opportunity to show this off and get some laughs. And I think that's what everybody's kind of waiting for.
Does this add multiplayer?
Oh, that's a big one. That would
co-op.
That
like
would
I'm thinking
totally
co-op,
change.
right? Not a PvP element, but like a co-op situation where I can pull in my brother who's got one settlement after another, right? And he can go, hey, you need some resources? Head over here. Here's my planet. Here's my building. Here's an access code or whatever you want to do, right? So you don't get robbed. I don't know. And then you just get in there and play co-op. Dude, I'd be so... Shattered Space, I don't think it's co-op. I don't think it's got multiplayer.
No.
But what a dream that would be. Like, you look at No Man's Sky now, right? When it first launched, and now to where it is today, obviously it's been a longer roadmap for Hello Games in the world of No Man's Sky, but they have multiplayer, and that's just such a game changer in the space that they're in, literally, right? Like, it's so big. Why not be able to pull in? Dude, can you imagine coming onto my ship and we sail out, and all of a sudden we get into a battle of some sort, and you jump on the guns, and then, like, oh man, like, I'd love to see it. I don't know if we will, but Shattered Space, again, right? More is coming, but it sounds like it's more single player content. And I think a lot of us would like that multiplayer aspect or a co-op aspect to the game to be introduced. I wonder if that's in the future roadmap later on, long-term goal, maybe to introduce that. But everybody hit Starfield, and then, dude, they just bailed. They just all bounce out, right? So is Shattered Space the thing that's going to pull them back in? I got to go wrap it up myself. That's why I said after 80 hours, dude, I did one faction, right? I did one faction quest, and then I did a couple other things, and I just kind of bailed out. We got caught up in other things. It was just one of those things. I was like, man, I need to get back to this. But I know people who finished this in 50 hours, where I just went on a whole other path, right? Which I absolutely adored and thought it was cool.
That's part of the fun.
Yeah, it is, right? And that's what in my review I'm like, this is a Bethesda game. You don't beeline the story of a Bethesda game. You experience the world. You experience your journey overall. And that's kind of what I did. And now it's time to maybe jump back in and wrap things up. So I'm ready for Shattered Space because I want to be there. I want to know what's going on, and I'm very curious. I think Starfield is a cool game, and it's got a lot of promise to take things even further. And I want to be there for that next journey.
Oh, it makes a lot of sense. It is still a ginormous potential waiting to happen. I just hope this is a big enough chunk, like you say, to bring enough people back to really get some attention on it.
Yeah, here's hoping, right? But if you want to keep up to date with everything we do, stay over at itgtv.com.